Hello, this is Steve, and we're gonna do an interview. And right across the street is Clear Lake. You can see the lake and Mount Canocti. And go ahead. Who are you?
Hi, my name is Caiista, and I'm a homeless person in Lucerne. I don't work. I just sit around all day and do whatever I want to do. And I had my stuff taken this morning, and that's not the first time that's happened to me either. So, but I'm gonna try to get into a place here soon, and hopefully I can. And when I get into a place, I'm not gonna have all this homeless trash come around.
So basically, yesterday was Easter, so it's kind of almost 3/4 of the way through April, and you were telling me that you left your stuff in the park, and the city people just literally came through and took all your stuff.
Yeah, I should have. I should have before I went to go get coffee this morning because I knew it was going to take me a while to walk back here. I should have just bagged it, took it, and put it all across the street at my friend's shop. But I did when I first woke up this morning. I didn't feel good anyway.
So you have no way to get there. You'd have to take the bus to go get the stuff that the city people took.
Yeah, either that or get my friend Robert to give me a ride.
Uh-huh.
He's the one that I get my cigarettes, my food, my drinks. It's from Robert. So.
All right.
But I told I have a friend that works for
966, order number 966.
and I have a friend that works for the county, and this is the second time. The first time they did it, they stole my food stamp card and everything. So it's like.
So the city literally just came by, took your stuff, and as
Yeah.
far as you know, it's where, down at the city
It's
something, or
in
is it?
Lakeport. It's at the city. It's at the public. At the city park representative's office. And
All right, well, go ahead and eat.
I will.
Yeah, don't bother. Don't worry about that. So then you've been out there all day. It's kind of warm. The weather changed, so it's getting a little bit warmer.
mm-hmm.
And I was fascinated to meet you because you told me that you have lived here since how many years?
Since 1975.
1975. It is 2025. That means you've been living in this county for 50 years.
Mm-hmm. Off and on.
Wow. But you said you've also been to a few other places.
Yeah. I lived in Lake Mendocino for a while.
Lake Mendocino?
Yeah, and I also lived in Willits for a while.
Willits up the road?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I lived in San Diego for a while.
All right, so for some people who don't know, San Diego is probably 10 hours driving if you didn't have any traffic. 10
Yeah.
hours at 60 miles an hour, you might get to San Diego. You would not get there if you ran into traffic in LA. That'd
No,
take you
that-
5 hours
that
to get
would-
through the
yeah.
traffic.
Yeah, it's San Diego, I think it's 64 miles from me.
Yeah, it is a long ways
That's
down
a
there.
long highway.
Yeah, so if you took Highway 5 or Highway 99 and you left Lakeport, you could get to LA probably in 8 hours if you went fast, and to San Diego probably in 10 hours with no traffic. So what time is it? It's 6 o'clock tonight. You'd probably get there around 3 in the morning. But San Diego's beautiful. Where were you born?
I was born in Ticonderoga, New York.
Now that is a place I've never been, to New York. I've never
No.
even been across the Mississippi, except I went to DC a few times.
It was nice. I mean, it was cold during the winter months,
I'll bet.
but it was really nice because my dad, my grandpa and my dad took me out to Lake Champaign and we went ice fishing.
Wow. So you had to dig a hole in the ice and...
No, it was just, the lake was completely frozen during the winter months.
Right.
But in the beginning of spring, like the third month of the spring season, it would start thawing out, and then you could go out on the lake, even though it was ice cold. You could go out on the lake because it wasn't frozen solid.
Wow. There's a YouTube video of a guy who thinks he's going to break a hole through the lake. This is on YouTube. So he takes a stick of dynamite and he throws it out onto the lake, and he thinks it's going to break a hole in the lake, right? His dog runs out of the car, grabs the stick of dynamite, picks it up, and comes back and jumps inside the car and blows them both up.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, that's actually on YouTube. So you were telling me that some good news. It's just your daughter had a baby recently.
Mm-hmm. Well, she gave birth to a little boy, and he weighed 10 pounds, 10 ounces, and it was all natural.
And where's he live? Where's your
And
daughter?
My two daughters live in Tampa, Florida.
Tampa. Wow. So they ended up halfway across the United States.
Yeah, Edith, she kind of moved away from California because of her seizure activity. She wasn't supposed to live to be 8 years old. So.
You said she had seizures when she was a kid.
Yeah, she had grand mal seizures.
Wow.
And she wasn't supposed to live until she was 8 years old. Her brain wasn't fully completed. It wasn't fully grown. So after they put her on phenobarbital, all the seizure medicine, and she had them from 8 months
967,
until
967.
about 10 or 11 years old.
Wow. And grew out of them?
Then she grew out of them for the longest time, but after like 6 or 7 years of not having one, she had 1 or 2. And now that since she's moved to Florida and stuff, smoking pot all the time, she don't have them no more.
Huh, okay. Is pot legal down there in Florida now?
Yep, pot's illegal right here in the United States.
Yeah, well, they're going to make it legal probably throughout the whole U.S. But let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about how you became homeless and how long have you been homeless. Let's start with that. How long have you been homeless?
I have been homeless since 2021, I do believe.
All right.
Off and on. But the last time I became homeless, it was because somebody somebody told them that I was doing drugs and selling drugs at the homeless shelter. So I got kicked out.
So were you at the homeless shelter down in Clear Lake, the Hope Center?
No. I was on Wilton Way.
I don't know where that one
Yeah,
is.
Wilton Way is just going towards Lakeport.
Is it the one in Lakeport, the old jail?
The old juvenile hall.
The old juvenile hall? You stayed there?
Yep.
Oh my God. I've heard so many stories from people who say that they would rather live out in the open than go to live in a juvenile hall because they if they grew up here, they were arrested as kids and they were there.
That was the first time I was there. I was 16 years old and I stole a pack of gum from Safeway.
No. The Safeway here in Clear Lake or the one up in Lakeport?
Lakeport.
You stole the pack of gum at 16 and you went to juvenile hall?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And shoplifting.
But how long did you stay there?
I did I did a year.
For a fucking pack of gum?
Well, that's not the only thing I got. So I got a pack of gum and almost got away with stealing a pack of cigarettes. So.
All right. Well, so full disclosure, when I was 16, we used to, we would, this is terrible, I shouldn't even admit this. We would go get God, I'm trying to say, okay, the whipped cream cans. We would take the whipped cream cans and then we made sure we didn't shake them. And then we would, release the gas in there, which was nitrous oxide.
Yep.
And then we would sniff the nitrous oxide. And we wouldn't buy them though. We would do it and then we would stick them back in, and we got caught doing that, but we didn't go to juvenile hall. The guy just came and yelled at us and told us to leave. That was it. Didn't go back there.
Yeah, well, I take it. When I buy the can Cool Whip, I open it, I shake it up, and I just squirt it in my mouth and eat it. Sometimes I get my mouth so full of it, and then my mouth will start drooling, and I'll have it going all down the front of me.
How old were you when you were doing this?
I still do it.
Oh no. You like that whipped cream?
I like that whipped cream, yeah.
Oh my god, that's funny. When I take my dog through the drive-through, they give a little cup like this. They'll take a cup and they'll put some whipped cream in there and they give it to the dog. My dog goes crazy.
Yeah, I eat it a lot. But I usually don't put it on strawberries or anything. I just buy a can and eat it.
Mm,
And then when the can's empty, I suck the gas out of it.
if there's any left.
If it's in it, yeah.
Wow.
That's it, yeah. There's not much of it, but it gives me good breakfast.
So you have been here since 75, 50 years on and on. You
Yep.
said Sebastopol. Sebastopol, which is, I don't know, it's about an hour away towards the coast a little bit.
Yeah, it's
Sort of towards San Francisco.
just outside of that 20, 25, maybe 30 miles outside of before you go into Santa Rosa.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was in I took away from my mother and father.
You was took away from them?
Yeah, CPS got me
CBS, wow, okay.
because I was dealing with family problems.
Okay.
And I did not get along with my father.
All right.
He would not leave me alone from the age of 3 to 12.
So when you say not leave you alone, we're talking,
Yeah, sexual abuse, trying to have sex with me.
is this your own biological dad or a
Yeah.
stepdad?
My own father.
Jesus Christ, I'm sorry to hear about that. That's terrible.
When I was 12 years old, I got tired of him messing with me, and we were living in Potter Valley, and I kept telling him, leave me the fuck alone, leave me the fuck alone, and he wouldn't.
Yeah.
So about 10:30, well, I think maybe 11 o'clock, I came out to get a drink of water, or a drink of something, and he backs me up against the kitchen sink and starts mauling me and won't let me go. So the first thing I thought about was taking him and cold cocking him or dead on his head with a cast iron skillet. But I took a knife and a big sharp butcher knife and slammed it into the kitchen sink
Mm-hmm.
with his hand in the middle of it.
So you got him.
Uh-huh.
When did CPS come in and take you out, though? How old were you?
I was probably
So that was when the cops
Yeah.
came?
yeah,
Is Potter Valley, is that that Mendo, or is that still Lake?
that's Mendocino.
That's Mendocino.
Mhm.
And that's in the middle of nowhere. So you guys were up there in the middle of nowhere.
Well, we had a store, we had
Yeah?
a school, we had a
Yeah.
church, and we lived right on the busy roadway.
Yeah.
We had animal. We had a gentleman friend of my mom and dad. Well, my mom and my dad. He lived right across the street from us, and he had a barn.
Mm-hmm.
He had chickens.
Yeah.
He had horses. He had cows.
So that was nice. Well, hopefully it was nice.
It was no, he never messed with us. And me and my little sister Teresa, well, it was more me because I was the rabbit feeder. I raised rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
And the very first classroom I was in was here in Lucerne on First Avenue. And I was in 4-H.
Yeah, so here in
And-
Lucerne they had a 4-H?
Yeah, I went to special education, yeah.
You were in special
Yeah,
education?
I was.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've been found mentally and physically unable to hold a steady job because I have emphysema, asthma, COPD,
Okay.
and
So COPD is what is it?
respiratory failure.
Yeah.
And I've already had my attempts with heart attacks. I've had like 6 or 7. I had 7 of them. The last one that did me, and they had to use the
little
the
defibrillator things?
defibrillator on me. But you tell me my heart beats good and fast, but they think what it is because I eat too much cholesterol
Mm.
and it's clogged in my arteries.
Well, emphysema is, okay, so is a constructive. Oh man, what does this stand for? PD is pulmonary disease.
Yeah.
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So that basically means your lungs kind of fill up with water and stuff.
My lungs fill up with water, and because I smoke, it's like wheezing really bad. And
Did you get COVID?
no, I never did get COVID.
Wow.
Oh,
So you got lucked out because the COVID really took out some people. It took out people who had diabetes. It took out people who were obese.
no.
And
It took 4 of my friends out.
yeah, but strangely enough, people who smoke weed, a lot of people who smoke, it didn't go after them. It went after people who have obesity and diabetes quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I didn't get it. For one, I wasn't homeless at the time. I lived in Santa Rosa Memorial.
You were staying where?
I was living in
Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa Memorial Hospital.
Oh, you were?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Were you sick? This is back, what, 3 years ago?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't sick. I was homeless,
Mm-hmm.
and I was living just as coming into Lucerne,
Right,
where the llamas are at.
right.
I was living down there in a tent, and I was out doing something. I was out doing a job for a friend of mine, making some money for myself. And I come home and there's this guy pissing and shitting all over my clothes. And I go in there and I go, dude, what the fuck are you doing in my campsite? And he said, you destroyed it.
Yeah,
And I started the living shit out of him.
yeah.
He said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. But then he asked me if I wanted to smoke a joint with him. Yeah, sure, why not? And then I told him after we smoked the joint, you gotta leave.
Yeah.
Because I gotta clean up the mess you made in my tent. So, and the first hit was okay. The second hit was really, really not good. The third hit, he hit basically heroin.
So he put some in there.
He put heroin in it.
Jesus.
And I smoked it, and then he beat the shit out of me and threw me in the lake to drown.
Jesus.
He almost did, so.
Yeah. How did you get saved?
Paramedics came and got me out.
Wow. So that's how you ended up in San. Did they helicopter you over there?
Yeah, they had to lift me from Yeast Winery.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that if you get sick in this county and you need a hospital that can do something major, you have to be helivaced out of here.
Uh-huh.
If you're not helivaced, you won't make it to a hospital. You'll die on the way. It'd take you 4 hours to get to Santa Rosa.
Yeah, they, once they got me out of the water, they revived me. They put me in the helicopter when they revived me because of the lake water.
Mm-hmm.
And now as soon as the lake water, I slip all over.
Oh my God. The helicopter ride, but were you awake during the helicopter ride?
I was not quite, I was sedated because I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah, yeah,
And they didn't want me to freak out.
yeah.
I woke up once going home. Once,
You don't see much because you're strapped down anyway.
well, I
But-
could look down and see the bottom. It looked like a bunch of little people running around. Like
Yeah, but
midgets.
it is pretty cool to be honest with you. It is pretty cool to be in the helicopter and be strapped down, and you got the nurse and you got the paramedics and stuff, and it's a real specialty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they pop you in there and boom, you're gone. They take you from this hospital over there and they land you.
969.
I'm guessing they land you on the roof. I'm not sure where they land you, but they land you somewhere.
In Santa Rosa, they land you on the roof.
Yeah.
Here at this hospital, they land you outside in the helicopter pad, right outside the emergency room.
So you had a traumatic childhood. Now your mom, was this your biological mom?
Yeah, it was my biological mother. Yeah,
She didn't protect you?
but she tried to, but there wasn't much she could do because he beat the shit out of my mother all the time. He misused her all the time. And this time, when this episode had happened, she came out and caught him doing it right in the middle of the act.
Mm-hmm.
And if I hadn't had, I don't think if I'd had a butcher knife in my hand, she'd have been the one that would go cuff him in the head, you know, cast out his coat.
Mm.
And she just told me Calista, to go to your room and go to bed. So I did. The next morning I woke up, got ready to go to school, and I wasn't feeling good. I had a really bad stomach ache and a really bad migraine headache. But I still had to go, I still had to go to school because that was something and actually you were broke out in with the chicken pox or the measles or the mumps or something that was contagious to the kids. Even the sore throat, you had to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to school and went home, but took care of my animals and stuff like that. And that afternoon when I got home from school, I had noticed that the fur was moving in the rabbit's nest, in the rabbit's box. So she had, it was her first litter, so she had 12 of them. And they grow, and they grow, and they grow, and they get bigger, and they get bigger, and they get bigger. Then I took it away from home and put it in a foster home here in Lucerne. And I still did the same thing, take care of my rabbits.
So you were 12 and CPS came in?
CPS came in and took me from my mom and my parents, and I went into foster care, me and my sister
How
and
old
my
was,
brother.
all right, so you were 12. How old was your sister and brother?
My sister was 2 years younger than I was, and my fucked up brother was younger than both of us.
Okay.
And I didn't really get along with my little brother.
Did they put you in the same home or a
No,
different foster?
he was in a different. It was.
So they
just
separated you guys?
Yeah, they put me in a foster home here in Lucerne, and they put my sister in a foster home in Kelseyville, and that's where she stayed until she went back home.
Wow, so Kelseyville's all the way on the other side of the lake, so you didn't see your sister.
Yeah, I seen my sister before they moved me to Sebastopol. I was put in the foster home where she was at.
Wow.
Which was the Tot Towers over in Kelseyville.
Was it a good place?
It was a good place, but me and my sister we could not stand each other.
Do you think she was being abused by your dad too?
No, my dad never touched her. She wouldn't,
Wow.
she wouldn't allow, well, I tried not to allow it to happen. Because when he started doing that, I would say, no, leave me alone, I'm going back to bed. And he goes, no, you're not, you're going to stay here and take this. And I took it as much as I could take it, and then when I got tired of having to take it, I started reacting back. First time it happened, he didn't get really hurt. I kicked him right straight in the nuts. And walked away. The second time I stabbed him.
How old were you the first time?
The first time I reacted?
No, I mean
The first time he started at the age of 3.
At 3.
At 3 years old, yes.
And
he would lock me up in the closet and tell me, if you say anything to your mother, I'll kill you. He threatened me to kill me.
So did you ask anybody? Did you tell anybody, the people at school or anybody? Did anyone try to help you?
I never spoke out about it because I really didn't like it happening to me. And I talk occasionally to people about it, and once I started opening up and then talking to the people that I knew, they ended up doing something about it. Because he would yell and scream at me and my sister and my brother, and he would treat us really, really, really rude.
Did he have drugs or alcohol?
He was an alcoholic. He was definitely a hard alcoholic.
What did he drink?
He drank Budweiser, vodka, brandy, whatever he could drink.
All right.
He even drink, what is it? It's made with homemade wine.
They just mix fruit juice and wine or whatever, coolers, like coolers.
No, it's hobo wine.
Well,
And it's made from real grapes, real sour grapes, and
anything sounds like.
fruit juice. Yeah, well, fruit juice or other alcohol. But he made me drink Budweiser.
So how old were you when you started drinking?
977 or
The
970?
first time I got drunk,
Yeah.
I 16 years old, and me and my boyfriend at the time, his dad drank vodka. So he stole a gallon of his dad's vodka from him, and we sat there and got drunk. I ate, so I shouldn't have ate when I was drinking because it made me really, really barf.
I'm
really
sure.
bad.
Yeah.
And so my and the next morning, oh my God, I had such a hangover. That's the first time I got drunk. The second time I got drunk, I was like 20, 21, something like that. I don't hardly ever drink hard alcohol because I have for one, I have a bad heart. For two, I have grand mal seizures just like my daughter does. It's hereditary. I was born with it. And another, if you're out here in this wide world, the wide world that we live in, if you're drunk, you're acting up, you're fighting somebody, you go to jail.
Yeah. Yeah, the cops seem to love to get into fights with people here. They love it when people fight back so they can fight.
Noel Quinn is now in Lake County Jail for what he did.
Who's this?
Noel Quinn.
I don't know who that is.
Well, he's one of the homeless people that he used to own a home up here on 13th Street. And somebody tried to set it on fire with him and his girlfriend.
That is the one. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. Until I moved to this county, I had never heard of so many people setting houses on fire. This county, I think it's the meth. Lighting people's houses on fire is a thing here. Like if they're mad at somebody, they'll burn their house down in the middle of a county, which could the whole county could go up in fire. It's so dangerous
after
here.
He did that, after they burnt, the first time they set his trailer on fire, he stayed there and continued to live there. Then the second time, somebody came in and took a gun to his head. It was going to blow him and his wife's brains away. So after that, and they had rats, they had sewer problems, and it stunk every time you walked by it. So they code enforcement red tag it.
Close it down.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
And so if they had after that, they had the homeless people staying there.
Yeah. And they'll move into anything.
They went, well, it was me and my ex-boyfriend that stayed there for a while.
And he was in jail or something?
Oh, him?
Yeah.
No, he's in jail now. The black dude's in jail now, and so is Noel Quinn.
Why is he in jail though?
Noel Quinn? He was running his mouth saying, they want those fucking hostages released right fucking now. We're gonna send everybody in Lucerne to come and beat the holy fuck out of you. And he just kept cussing and cussing and cussing. And he was under the influence of meth.
Was there any hostages?
No, it was just something he made up in his mind.
Yeah.
So when that happened, he was on his one of these I want the hostages and the bullshit like this back, and he had a pack of cigarettes, and I walked by him and I asked him to bum a cigarette, and I picked up his cigarette and he had cigarette in it, but he had meth in it. And he goes, "Oh, you're gonna steal my meth?" And he busted a beer bottle on the cement table. It bounced up, it got me in the eye and in the mouth. So when that happened, Lake County Sheriff was called. So
yeah, he went off to jail.
He went off to jail, and that's the third felony offense he's got against him.
Wow. So he's got the 3 strikes thing going on?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, that's not good. He should have moved out. He should have moved out of California on that second strike.
Well, I know, I mean, but...
So let me get back to you. If you get back to your mom. Now, your mom, what was her deal?
My mom was my mom, but a lot of times she would go and...
I'm going to get one of these napkins, man.
Go ahead. When she, at the time when she was working, we would never we'd hardly ever go home until it was dinner time, me and my little sister, Caiista.
Yeah, you're in the middle of Potter Valley. There's nothing out there. You're
Well, we
pretty
had-
much, you got miles and miles you
Well,
can
we
run.
had places we could go. We could go swimming in the river, or
Yeah,
go to a friend's house,
yeah.
a kid's house that we knew, or
What
we
was
could just,
what was fun for you when you were a kid before all that stuff happened?
I used to like ride horses
Yeah.
and donkeys.
So you had them out there,
Um,
or neighbors did?
no,
That's cool. So you could probably just ride forever out there, do pretty much whatever you wanted to out there.
no, I took my friend's car. He hadn't been rode in a while. She hadn't been rode in a while, and she was really restless. She wanted to get out and she wanted to go running.
The horse did
Yeah,
want to go
the
running.
horse.
Yeah.
So I took her and
How old were you?
I was 13,
Thir-
almost 14. And I took her out of the barn, put the saddle on her, and took her out of the corral. And then after that, it was a straight shot.
Mm.
I just kicked her in the rib cage, just gently hit her in the rib cage, and off she went. We were at least 15 miles, and then turned around and came back home.
Yeah.
By then it was getting dark.
Yeah.
And riding that horse, it was bump.
What year were you born?
1962,
62.
the 25th of August.
So you are approximately 64?
Almost 64. This year I'm
Almost 64?
64. Yep.
Wow. So if you were born in 62 and you were 13, that was 75. 1975, there was almost nothing out here. This place was
Yeah, I was 10 years old when I came here. Like that.
10 when you came here.
Yeah, well, 12, something like that.
And you got involved in 4-H and all that stuff.
Yeah, I got in special education, and
Can you tell
4-H.
me, what were you in special ed for, though? What was your qualifying?
it was, I couldn't read and write too good,
Okay.
and I had to wear glasses, so I was called 4 eyes.
Okay.
Stupid.
But
But I never got, the only F I ever got in school was was PE.
okay. So when you try to read, can you tell me what your difficulty is?
It was, I stuttered, and I didn't understand what I was trying to read.
You haven't stuttered at all.
No, I mean, it's just that
Did you see letters backwards?
I've seen
or-
a lot of the letters backwards, and I wouldn't say them right, and I would get scolded by the teacher and say, that's not the right way to say it properly.
Yeah.
But I like I said, the only F I ever got is when I was in high school.
So let me tell you something that might make you feel better. Do you happen to know how many letters there are in the alphabet? You can take a guess.
No.
Okay. I think let's just say it's 26. I think it's 26. So the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? All the way to Z. I believe it's 26.
Yeah. There's 26.
Okay, guess how many sounds those 26 letters make?
26.
Nope. 42.
42, yeah.
Plus, this makes it worse. Some of them are silent.
Yeah. The I's and the A.
So they can be silent.
Yeah.
And then when you put the two letters next to each other, they make a completely different sound,
Yep.
right? Okay, so think of the word throw, right? So a baseball pitch, you throw. The past tense of through is THREW, through. But if you were to drive a car through the street, it's THROUGH. Okay, so English is the hardest language to learn. Kids who have difficulty, sometimes they don't explain it how come it's hard, because the letters themselves and the combinations of the letters make it hard for you. So people feel stupid. And parents can get mad, and teachers can get mad at kids and be like, it's how come you can't read, or how come you can't do this? But in Spanish, okay, 26 letters, 25 sounds. The reason there's not 26 sounds is because the letter H is silent. So if you have a letter H in a Spanish, it's kind of a ha sound. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But every single letter only makes one sound. So every time you see that letter in a word, you know exactly what sound it's supposed to make. The thing that makes English so hard and makes so many kids feel like a failure, and so many teachers and parents can be so, they call their kids stupid or dumb or put them in special education, is because the letter system and the sound system don't match. So hopefully, you know, that maybe that helps you feel better. But I studied this, so I
Yeah,
know
it
this.
was,
Yeah.
it wasn't really bad. Being, being in special education, I got more teasing about it from the kids in school and my yeah, I'm not my cousins and stuff.
So teasing meaning
Teasing me, calling me four-eyed geek and
four-eyed
stupid.
geek.
Yeah,
That's
'cause I
not
had
cool. Yeah, you had the glasses.
glasses and
Yeah.
four-eyed geek, dumb retarded geek, or dumb stupid, you know what?
So just a way to tease you.
Just some way to tease me, and
But on top of being what your dad was doing to you,
Yeah.
must have made you feel pretty bad.
it made me really feel bad. But then when I was living in Upper Lake with my aunt and uncle, and my cousin started picking on me, and she was like almost 200 pounds.
Mm.
I was like 90 to 100 pounds. So we got into it, and I whipped the living shit right out of her in her front yard.
I'm gonna guess maybe you were pretty angry, but you know how old you were when that happened?
I was like 11, maybe 12, no, 11 or something like that.
So you probably had a lot of rage.
I had a lot of rage because of the way my father would treat me,
Yeah,
the way the kids in school would treat me.
right.
But my mom would always try her best to make me feel good.
Who did you feel safest around? Who was
My mother,
yeah,
and she died in '94, so
94,
Yep.
so you were 62, so you were about 32 years old.
Yep.
32 when she passed away. What did
Yep.
she pass away from?
emphysema and asthma.
So
And she
you
had-
had this.
Yeah,
Did she
and she-
smoke as well?
She would smoke, and when she smoked Camel non-filters.
Oh my gosh, yes. Do
Very
they still sell
strong.
those?
Yeah, they still do. And when she would smoke, she'd smoke like one or two after another, and then when she started getting
Chain
really,
smoker.
yeah, really bad problems breathing, she had to be on oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would, and then in the meantime, before that happened, well, while she was still on oxygen, my dad tried to beat the shit out of her.
Jesus.
And wouldn't let her, had her tied with ropes and belts in a reclining chair. So she calls me all upset and crying. She says, I need you. And I lived in downtown Caiista, on School Street. So I jumped in my car, took out of town, and I called Mendocino County Sheriff to let them know what was going on. And I said, okay, do not go in the house.
Mm-hmm.
If he is that violent, do not go in the house.
Do you think he was drinking and blacking out maybe?
He was drunk, and he just wanted to be a motherfucker.
Some people black out when they're drunk, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
might not even know what the hell they're doing. I'm not saying they don't know sometimes, but sometimes they literally drink so much alcohol, and as they get older, they black out. They don't know, man. They'll drive a car. I've had clients that I've worked with where they were arrested for killing someone because they got drunk at a bar, drove home, didn't even know they hit somebody, drove over somebody, killed them, and parked their car. And the next day the cops are knocking at their door and they're arresting them. And
Yeah.
they're like, what do you mean? I don't remember. I left the bar. That's all I know. And they'll say, well, I thought I hit a mailbox and they ran
Yeah.
over somebody. I mean,
He had gotten pulled over a couple of from different times, and he was just quite not drunk enough.
yeah, he didn't take any responsibility for it. He may have had a mental health disorder too, because some people try and manage their mental health through
Yeah,
substances,
well,
you know.
I think he just, I don't think he had a very happy childhood
All right.
growing up as a kid.
So he had it rough too.
Yeah, I guess, but
Did you ever meet his parents?
no, I never met his parents. I met my mother's mom and dad.
Yeah.
My dad's mom and dad was already gone when I was born.
They were gone.
They had already passed away.
Passed away.
They were
Okay.
both in a car accident. They were in a head-on collision with an 18-wheeler, so it killed us.
So he had it rough, as far as you know.
As far as I know, he had it rough, and he just wanted to be an ass.
Yeah. He could have taken responsibility for all that stuff.
He could have taken responsibility for it. And
Yeah.
when I lived in Willits for a while, I was working at the Forest Club, and he came in to the bar early in the morning, and I was attending bar. He was like really not rude, but he knew not to get too rude with me because I was the head bartender in that bar by 10:30, 11 o'clock. A lot of the locals that didn't work, they were in there tipping it.
Mm-hmm.
And they called it tipping it and drinking it and eating them potato chips or whatever they wanted to eat. And I had a gentleman friend that stood 6'2", weighed 110 pounds, soaking wet.
That's a skinny guy.
As my bodyguard.
That's a very skinny guy.
Yeah, he was, but he was strong. He was healthy.
Yeah, yeah.
And my father just would not. He's ordering me. You dumb fucking bitch, give me another beer and another shot. And I just ignored him. I'm busy taking care of my other customers, making sure my main customers, not my own goddamn father.
How old were you about then, you think?
I was 22.
Hmm.
And I had my first kid in October of 1980. My second kid, November Thanksgiving Day, and 1982, and then I went from 82 to 84 before I had another one.
Hmm.
I went on the North Plant for 5 years. And then I had Edith Dieta. And then
Did you have the same dad for the kids or different dads?
my son was born by the guy I got married with, and my daughters, yeah, they all three of them had, well, two of them had the same father, and the third one didn't.
Hmm.
The third one was born in 94 on Thanksgiving Day, so.
Hmm.
And that's Edith, she has grandma seizures.
94.
Yeah, she was born in 94, right after her grandma died.
So you had kids in 80, 82,
Then 80,
86, you said? Or
something like that. And then,
then another kid in 90.
and then I had Frances. The first girl I had was Frances, and she was born January 19th, which was her grandmother's birthday.
Hmm.
No, Edward James was the first one that was born. He was born October 18th, 1982, or 1980. And then Frances Louise Veal was born. Well, she was the second one. She's the one that was born in January on her grandmother's birthday. And the 18th of January was her grandma's birthday. The 19th of January was her grandpa's birthday. And she didn't like her grandpa.
Hmm.
She did
Your
not-
dad.
She did not like my dad. No.
So he didn't become nice to his grandkids.
Well, he never spent much time with his grandkids because I refused to take him when I went to see him.
Yeah.
Because of the way
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
raised me
Yeah.
and the way he treated his my mother. Because he's fighting with a bar packed full of people.
So they took you out, but they brought your sister back?
No, my sister, she did not come back home until she was released to go back home. By that time, she was 17 years old, so she only lived at home a year.
So she
And then
lived
she-
in foster care for
Yeah.
quite a few years, like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, the same foster care
Okay.
in Calvigo.
All right. And your brother?
My brother went to prison for raping my daughter with a fork in the shower.
He raped her?
Yeah,
With what?
with a fork,
A fork?
a kitchen fork,
Jesus.
in the shower.
In the shower.
Yeah, and
How old was he when he did this? An adult?
here's an adult, yes.
Drugs? Alcohol? What the hell?
Well, I don't know. Well, it had came out that at the beginning of it did not have anything to do with my daughter. It was a neighbor's daughter. It was supposedly my neighbor's daughter that he raped in the shower with a fork.
Violently, or did he? I mean, it's a dumb question, but I mean,
Shoved it
there's
up inside of her.
there's two sides to a fork. I
Yeah.
mean, there's the.
The point his head straight up into her.
She was a little kid.
Yeah, she was,
How old was she?
I think she was 3.5, almost 4. at the time.
Jeez.
So
So
it was like,
let me, if you don't mind, let me. Sometimes when kids go into foster care, way worse things happen to them in foster care than ever happened to them in the home they got taken out of.
oh, I know.
Some of the kids that I worked with, they were exposed to people who had been taken out of foster care because they were sexually abused. So maybe they were taken out of foster care because their mom was on drugs, or their mom was mentally ill, or their mom drank too much alcohol,
Yeah.
or maybe they got beaten, and then they go into foster care and then they get sexually abused. And some of the people who run the foster cares,
They're mean.
they know that the foster system is desperate, and they abuse the kids. And there's been not a few cases where children are abused.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and
So maybe something happened to your brother, because he was. It
Well,
sounds
when
like he was 8 when he went into foster care.
he was because he was gay. He liked being fucked in his ass.
Do you think maybe he was molested though?
I don't know, and he was, but after that happened, I almost killed my own brother.
Yeah, for what he did to your
Until
daughter.
what he did to my daughter, because he wasn't at home. Because when I found out it was my daughter, I kicked him out of the motel room we were living in over in Ukiah.
So he was living with you,
He was living with me,
drugs,
and no,
alcohol.
he more than likely, he did drugs.
Mm,
If he did drugs, I didn't know where I got him.
mm,
And I told him, don't be doing it in my home.
yeah,
I was in NA and AA.
you were
I was doing classes to stay clean and sober.
right.
So it was like, with him coming home like that, that was just a drawstring to me, just to try to attempt me to drink.
Yeah, you could. That's not
I
something you
couldn't.
could tolerate.
I couldn't tolerate that, and then when I found out it was my own daughter,
Yeah,
because my daughter told me she did,
yeah.
and
So you lost it. Sounds like.
I went after him.
Yeah.
I was chasing him through town.
Now he's in prison
No, he was supposed to do 27 years to life, but
because of that, or
because of
some-
that.
Because of that.
Yeah, and he didn't.
What prison did he go to? You know?
He went to, I think he went to Vacaville,
Okay.
and he was raped there.
I'm guessing.
And
Sorry, but that's a tough life.
Yeah, that's
Prison's
it.
hard, man.
and when he got out, he comes to stay with me. And then after he went back to prison, he was not allowed to come around me
Mm,
because of my temper.
yeah.
Because the day he was sentenced to 27 years to life, I had to testify against him,
Mm,
which was really hard to do. Well, then my daughter had to watch everything that was going on because of the court cases,
yeah.
and she started having nightmares over it.
Well, I'm gonna get back to that. So you went into foster care when you were about 12. Did they give you counseling? Did you ever see counselors,
Yeah, I
therapists,
went-
psychiatrists, any kind of mental health
I went-
help?
I went to mental health for like 6 months to a year because I could not handle having nightmares every night.
Right.
So they put me in.
Were you having the nightmares before you left, or once you went into foster care?
I would have them when I was living at home.
Well,
I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and start crying and running, try to run into my mom and dad's bedroom, but
right.
my dad was a dick and he would lock the bedroom door. So
All right. So you were neglected, abused.
I was abused by my dad. My mom, she never really abused me, just but maybe once or twice. And
Well, would you say beat you or?
I kind of deserved it. Yeah, she just got a little bit too rough and left belt marks on the back of my legs and across my butt.
When you were a kid?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it very well because it stung, and I cried and cried and cried, and I begged her not to do it.
How old do you think you were when you kind of remember that?
The first time it happened, I was 6 years old. The second time it happened, I was 11 and a half. But I guess both times the first time, I think my mom kind of felt bad about doing it to me because after that, she would never even hardly hit me or spank me.
Did she drink too?
No.
No drugs?
No, she
Weed?
had. Oh, she
Smoked cigarettes, but other than that?
She smoked cigarettes and I think occasionally there might have been once or twice that she got high on that because she didn't know what it was.
So what do you think she was attracted to your dad for? Because I mean, he sounds very violent, and she stayed with him.
I don't know. I really don't know what.
She stayed with him all the way up to the end.
Well, she wanted a divorce and he went inside the divorce papers. So. And for a year and a half, he did not see her because I would not allow him to.
So now, have you ever had a mental health diagnosis? Has you ever had medication or treatment for any mental health problems?
I take my medication. I am on asthma. Well, I don't have my inhaler now because
the city took it.
The city took it.
Yeah.
But I have emphysema, asthma, and COPD, which is really hard breathing at nighttime.
What about mental health diagnoses or medication?
Mental health, they found when I went to do my interview, I had been applying for SSI for 8 years. And for 7 years, I got denied. The 8th year, I had to drive to Santa Rosa, go through this 4-hour testing. Mathematics, hygiene, mathematics, science, history, all of it. And it was really stressful and hard to do.
How long ago was this about?
Back in 1982, I believe. So I went down there and did that. I did the interview and driving home. I had a flat tire and didn't have a spare. So I coasted off the intersection, stopped at the stop sign, went across the street, and asked a Mexican dude, the owner of the shop. He kind of didn't speak a lot of good English, but I said, need tire. He said, okay. So he put a brand new $20 tire on the back of my station wagon. So I drove home, and a month later I got approved for $5,500 back pay.
So since 82?
Since 82,
You've had SSI?
Yeah. Well, they cut me off for one time for almost 9 months. They got a call saying I was reporting when I was living at the homeless shelter. They got reports that I was working a full-time job.
How much did you get per month?
It started out at $600 a month, then it went from $6 to $1,199.64 now. So it goes up.
About $1,200 a month.
Almost, yeah, it's almost $1,200 a month.
And a food card.
Yeah, I have a food stamp card, and
They put like $250 a month or something on it.
They put $90 a month on it.
That's
because
all?
because I'm on SSI.
Okay.
And they know I'm homeless. Well, they started me out at $26 a month.
Okay.
So it's like $26 a month wasn't nothing. You can even buy a couple of gallons of milk or anything like that.
So now you've had periods of homelessness throughout your whole life. Your kids had 2 different dads. Did they go to live with their dad?
No.
Because I mean, when 3.5 years old, if your daughter was molested by your brother, I'm thinking CPS or foster care must have come in.
That's when me and my husband. Me and my husband were still married.
Okay.
When we lived in the town.
Whatever happened to him?
He went to prison.
Say it again.
He went to prison for child molestation.
He molested his
No, the
neighbor's
child.
kids,
Yeah.
not your kids.
No, not my kids.
Wow.
And
So do you think that had to do with something about you picking the wrong person because of what happened to you? Like you didn't know what you didn't know? You know what I mean?
I already knew the first time when I first got married I took the wrong one. Because he was a dick.
Did you pick the wrong guy?
Yeah, I was the wrong dude. I was the wrong guy. And
Were you pregnant?
yeah, I got pregnant twice by him.
So you got pregnant and got married, or?
I was 18 years old, went to Reno and got married.
Damn, okay.
A month later, I got pregnant.
You didn't hire an Elvis impersonator?
No.
No.
I loved Elvis Presley.
So you went and got married to this guy.
I went and got married to him. And it went good.
Did you graduate high school?
No.
GED?
Yes, I did graduate high school. I graduated the 12th grade in Kelseyville High School.
Okay. All right.
And I had a picture of me on the legs of Joe Montana,
Oh, yeah.
sitting on his shoulders with my cap and gown.
Oh, wow.
And my dad sold it for a 12-pack of beer.
Yeah, Joe Montana was the man back then. He was winning Super Bowls. How were you related to him?
I wasn't. He came to Kelseyville
Oh,
School for our graduation.
so somehow he just picked you out of the crowd or some kind of
No,
thing? Or?
all of us were kind of like on his shoulders, except for the dudes.
Yeah.
But that was just something that was really, really, really proud. And that was the year I got an F in physical education.
What year was it that you graduated? So 62, maybe 80? Right around 1980?
80. I do believe it was 80, either 80 or 81.
Yeah, because that was right when the 49ers were starting to win. They had great coaching by this guy named Bill Walsh.
Yeah.
All right, so you got married at 18 to a guy who turned out to be a dick. What was his issues? Drugs, alcohol?
Drugs, alcohol, whatever he did get.
Anything he could get?
Yeah, he did just about anything.
And then did he abuse you physically?
Yeah, he beat me up, tried to beat me up.
Yeah, so fighting with him.
Fighting with him, and that which would make it very uncomfortable on the kids. On the kids,
Oh, how
because
horrible being around that.
and no, they didn't like it. So I did the best not to fight.
When he molested these kids who lived nearby, how old were they?
She was 3.5. almost.
Babies.
Yeah, she was a little girl, and it was only one that he did. And when he found out that they had did that to him, we were living in, I believe we were living in Lakeport at the time. I don't remember where we were living, but he went to prison, and I went to Vacaville to visit him, and he tells me, on one of our visitations, he tells me, I want a divorce. I said, let's file one. I'm not paying for it. You married me, you wanted a divorce, file for it. He did a month later and he was divorced. So after I divorced him, I maybe went back to visit him maybe once or twice after that. Then after that, I refused to visit him.
So Vacaville's not that far. It's
No, it's not that far, but
hour and a half.
it wasn't that comfortable to be in there either.
No, you wouldn't want to be around him.
I really didn't want to be around him.
So you had one kid with him or 2 kids with
I
him?
had a son and a daughter with him.
And then you married someone else, or you got together
No,
with
I
someone
just-
else?
I had different boyfriends, different men friends, but
Did you ever pick anybody who was good for you? Do you feel like
Yeah.
you picked good sometimes?
my ex, Clifford James Beals, he was hella good to me. He would buy me roses and feed me, do anything for me. He was really good. Until he got back into the drugs and alcohol problems.
So what about you as far as meth
I do meth once in a great while.
in a great while?
And once in every while I do.
Did you have a run where you were using it a lot though?
Yes, I had a run where I was using it every day of the week.
Like how old, between what years or ages?
I started in my early, well, the year I turned 19, I started doing it. And I would never,
You know where Lodi is? You know where Stockton is, right?
Yep.
You know where Lodi is?
Yep.
Do you know at one point in time, Lodi supplied 1/3 of the meth for the entire United States? The entire United States. They used to, I know people who used to do this. They would go down below the border, they would get the meth, there were Hells Angels, some of them, and then there were other dudes working with the Mexican cartels. They would come across the border, they would go up into Lodi and go out in the farms, and then they would make meth out there, and they supplied, because in Stockton you have rail, you have freeway, you have Highway 5 and Highway 99 north-south, and you got 4 connecting, and then you got the airport, and you got the water. So you got every single way to transport, and they were transporting meth across 1/3 of the United States back in by 90 to 2000,
Yeah, because
and that's only like 2.5, 3 hours from here.
when I lived in, I think it was in Imperial Beach.
SoCal.
Yeah, I worked at the Flamingo restaurant, and it had flamingos in it, and I'd be at work and we'd have some off-the-wall person come in, or a steak well done, a salad, lots of dressing, a pitcher of beer. He'd get to drinking a pitcher of beer, and he'd start being rude, cussing at me, telling me to hurry the fuck up. And then back then, my daughter had grandma seizures, and her uncle came in and picked her up out of a bedtime sleep. Well, I guess he startled her. And when he startled her, she woke up screaming. And the screaming had caused her to go into a seizure, and he dropped her
Oh,
on the floor.
so your daughter got dropped.
Yeah, she got dropped.
So this is some guy who was
It
drinking,
was
and
her
her
uncle. It was her
uncle.
uncle. It was Clifford's brother. And he said, well, you know. And I just went ballistic. I said, what the fuck are you doing picking her up when she sounded sick? You could have woke her. I said, she was due to wake up in another hour or so because she'd be hungry. She'd want to eat.
She was this little baby.
And she's like 6, 7 months old.
Okay.
And maybe a year old. And she, when
And you say you nursed all your babies.
my nurse Tim and Charlie started biting.
Natural childbirth.
Yep.
Yeah. So
everyone
you
else.
loved your babies. You loved your kids.
Yes, I loved every one of my kids.
All right.
I
But
still love
you were
them
hooked up. You got hooked up somehow on meth and drinking.
No, I wasn't drinking. I never did really. And every time I got pregnant, I quit smoking.
Okay. Good.
So I wasn't smoking. Well, I might smoke 1 or 2 cigarettes through the pregnancy, but then I'd get sick to my stomach and start throwing up and didn't like that.
All right.
I have to be at the toilet even with that.
Well, that's good that you stopped. So,
And I'm trying to quit now, so.
what's your plans going forward? Because I know we want to wrap this up here. We've been
Yeah,
talking
I
for a
want-
minute, but what's your
My plans for going forward
yeah?
is I've got my friend Robert Yoakum. He's the one that gets my mail for me. He takes me to the casino when I want it. Well, Most of the time I want to go with him.
There's
Because,
like 5 casinos here.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I enjoy his company.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't because he gets up during the middle of the night and he takes off.
Mm.
He knows where I'm at, but he's kind of the type of person who likes to be alone.
Where are you staying? Like, where do you sleep in the park?
Yep, on the bed.
Okay.
After they stole my sleeping bag.
What the hell you got now? Do you got a blanket or anything?
I got another sleeping bag I can go grab
Mm.
right up across the street from Tower Monk.
So your plans are just to go back to the park, and
Yeah, because the park.
weather's good. It's not raining.
No, it's not bad because
This year it wasn't terribly cold. It didn't snow.
they did a couple times.
Did it?
Yeah, it's not.
Oh wow! It snowed
It's not Thanksgiving Day.
2 years ago, and the year before that, it snowed
Last year,
hella deep,
it
which is rare up here.
was snowing right downtown Lakeport
Freezing, man.
and right down in the east.
I don't know how you
I
live in
was,
the homeless in
No, I
the
wasn't.
freaking snow.
I wasn't kind of at that time. I really wasn't homeless. I was living with a black man. Like I say, I was dating a black man until he decided he wanted to be a bastard and kicked me out in the pouring rain.
Mm.
Let me sleep on his porch in the pouring rain, freeze my ass off. But
So would it be safe to say that from the time you were a little kid, you never really learned by example from your parents how to be taken care of, or they didn't do a good job taking care of you?
well, my mom was good at helping me learn the facts of life and how to deal with the muscle spasms and the cramps that you get when you get that muscle
Right.
and stuff like that.
But she told, when I'm saying not that, like, she didn't tell you about the facts of life when you were ready for that. What I'm saying is, like, 2 years old, 3 years old, by that time you're kind of forming,
Yeah.
you're switching from, Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny to, like, you're gonna go get it ready for social skills and going to kindergarten around
Yeah,
3
I
or
went
4
to-
years old. But
yeah.
by then you'd already been molested,
Yeah,
you'd already
I know.
been abused, your dad was
Yeah.
getting drunk, you were
At the age of 5,
mom was getting beaten.
at the age of 5, my mother went in to give birth to my little sister, Teresa. And I was playing out on the front porch, which was just on a cement slab,
Yeah.
right in front of the front door of the living room. And the babysitter was watching all my children. And that's when the German Shepherd got me in the face.
German Shepherd attacked you.
Yeah, he went after my Raggedy Ann that my grandmother had made for me
Yeah.
and got me right in the face.
Your own dog or the neighbor's dog?
The babysitter's dog
Oh wow. So your mom went off to give birth, the babysitter's dog attacked you in the face.
got me in the face, right inside of the face. And I don't think the dog really meant to do it because he'd never messed with me before.
Mm.
He'd come up and lick my face and slobber all over my face with his dirty tongue and his
Yeah.
dirty teeth. But
Yeah.
I was kind of used to that. Because I was a
So
kid.
by the time you're 5 years old, you've been through hell.
Yep.
And then the abuse went on for a bunch more years.
Yep.
Did you find anybody safe that you felt like,
Yeah,
before you got taken out by CPS at
I
12?
had a gentleman friend that lived less than a mile away from us, and we lived in Powder Valley. And if I didn't want to go home, I didn't go home.
Mm-hmm.
I spent the night at his house. He had a spare bedroom.
Did he treat you okay, or did
Yeah,
he
had-
abuse
no.
you too?
No, he had his daughter.
And how old was he? Like a dad?
Yeah, he was a father because he had a son.
So you would play with his kid?
I would play with his kid.
Would you say he was kind of like a good role model?
He was a good role model for me because a lot of times when I get all pissed off, I tell him I was going to go do something stupid.
Mm.
And he looks at me and knows you're not little girl. He goes, no, you're not little girl. You're my little girl.
So he treat you more like a dad than your dad and
No,
mom?
yeah, he always kept me better than my father ever did.
Yeah.
And so anyways, like I was saying, I've done that. And my plans is to get in. Before next winter, I'm hoping to have my own home.
All right.
On my own place.
All right. get a trailer or something like that,
Yeah,
or a
like
house or something.
A house or even a roommate where I have a
Anything.
living room.
Just live somewhere.
And just to live somewhere and not be.
And you got $1,200 plus a
Yeah, well,
couple $100 in food stamps, so you
yeah, I
got.
get 90 a month in food stamps,
All right.
and I have a very, very, very high expensive food bill. Because I eat cookies, I eat crackers, I eat candy. When I decide to do meth, I do that.
So you still have a kind of a struggle with that.
I just struggle with it.
All right.
But if I don't want to do it, I don't do it. I go to sleep. Just like last night. Yesterday was Easter
Sleep
Sunday.
out there in the park somewhere. That's your plan.
I sleep right on the bench.
All right.
Um,
So if you had 3 wishes, what would your 3 wishes be? 3 wishes for you.
become rich. Become rich. Become better looking than I am now. Live a long life.
Live a long life. This has been a good interview. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
glad
you
I
for
got a
dinner.
chance to get you something. You got all your stuff taken, so
Yeah.
this will help fill you up with some food.
Yeah, I don't eat a whole lot, but
I'll give you something for
When I,
talking to me. So then,
yeah, because when I get back there, I've got somebody that had to go get her something to eat because she got sunburnt from being out in the direct sun with a bathing suit top on.
bad.
Bad idea.
Yeah, especially if she's real white.
She's really
Get that
white.
lobster
Yeah, and
skin
she's
burn.
and she's overweight.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say thank you for
Thank
the
you.
interview.
You're
And you got
welcome.
anything else you want to say about the homeless situation in Lake County?
The homeless situation in Lake County sucks, but it will get better in the long run.
We hope so.
I definitely hope so.
We hope so. Thank you very much for the
You're
interview.
welcome.
All right.